Women of Reddit, what is the hardest part of being a woman? Please get this checked out. Talk at least to your primary care provider. A chronic ongoing pain is a sign something is wrong. On my heaviest day I had to use a public park bathroom. There was no running water, toilet paper basically disintegrated in my hands, and it's like the shinning trying to mop up all the blood. My fiancé had to hold a water bottle out for me to clean my hands properly, also there was no soap or sanitizer. That's what being a woman is like. Not to mention constantly worrying if you're staining, and when you do stain it makes it so uncomfortable to continue the day. Or the first time I put in a tampon at 15 years old, I fainted in the bathroom because I was so uncomfortable and scared. I didn't realize you weren't supposed to leave the applicator in there when I first used tampons. That must have been hell. Or when you're so heavy you have to wake up every hour and get the biggest most absorbent tampons every hour because those leak but the biggest won't fit and... Oh. This really triggered me lol. We have all been there, I am sure of that. And when you have done all that then, menopause. Mine just started and I'm like, really? Life is just one line of hormones interfering in so many ways. Even getting things taken out still screws you over. I feel this. Even the BSLP actually lowers blood supply to ovaries and can pick up hormones. I don't want this period nonsense. The bleeding I can deal with, but the emotions in the days before are most unwelcome. I just want to be a burrito and play Baldur's Gate 3. Yes. I think I have endometriosis. When I get my period, I get really nauseous, pale and throw up. The pain feels like I'm being stabbed. Doctors act like they don't care and prescribe ibuprofen or birth control. And miscarriage frown. Men of Reddit, miscarriages can endanger women's lives, and kill them in extreme cases. FYI. I'm gay man but have already had 2 friends miscarry before 30, it's way more common than people think and really effing sad. I've heard that 30% of pregnancies spontaneously miscarry. It's extremely common. My wife has now had 4 miscarriages and 1 medical termination. It is so effing hard to see a piece of the person you love and care about most in this world die each time. By far and away, that is the most difficult part for me. Every month I'm taken out by my period. I'm useless for 2 to 3 days. The pain is unbearable. I get nauseated and lightheaded. I'm miserable. I love everything else about being a woman but I want my uterus gone. I've had to cancel/miss out on so many things because I can hardly walk due to pain. Time of the month. But the thing is if we don't get one then we would probably think, oh crap, am I pregnant? We just can't win. And no, we can't hold it in like urine, it just blobs out. No, we can't hold it in like urine. I've had to explain to this my grown cousin, he of course didn't believe me. It's embarrassing because we were both in our mid-20s. I had to tell him that it's the same as with normal blood, you can't just hold your blood in if you get a nosebleed for example or any time you bleed at all. I had a guy friend who said his mom was able to sit on the toilet and get rid of all the blood at once. I had to explain to him, a grown man, how periods work and how he probably misunderstood what his mom said. This is insane to me. I have a lot, but I would say endometriosis and PCO and the fact that these conditions are not taken seriously. I have endometriosis and it took me 4 years to get an actual diagnosis and treatment that worked. Before, when I said yeah my cramps hurt so bad that I can't sleep and it feels like I have appendicitis, they would just say, oh yeah, that's normal, here's ibuprofen. It is so normalized for women to just deal with pain that they didn't follow up. I finally got a doctor that took me seriously and he coached me on my best options and made sure to screen me for PCOS too in case it was that. Adenomyosis as well. Worse than labor, because at least during labor the contraction would stop for a few minutes and start again. I've had days where I spent a whole hour white-knuckling the arm of my chair, intentionally breathing through the pain, unable to talk. I've experienced childbirth, gallstones, and migraines, and endometriosis/adenomyosis is easily the worst pain among them. OMG. People seriously don't understand. They don't see us curled up in a ball literally screaming in pain. It's so awful. Thankfully after I had my daughter it got better for some reason. Not sure why. They just think we're exaggerating, like, okay dude, if you think I'm lying, let's strap you to a labor simulator and I'll show you what setting my pain is. Oh. I had cancer surgery a few weeks back, and afterward, I went for a checkup and the next steps. The urologist was young, they had no female doctors, and flippant, but it's better than the pity looks. Anyway, he asks my discomfort pain level. I said, as a woman, I am used to pain and discomfort in this region, so I took one painkiller the day after the surgery only. He looked at my husband and shrugged. He said something after, but I was too shocked to hear it. Men have no clue about the pain and discomfort we endure every 28 days or so. My wife has endometriosis, she no joke. My heart goes out to anyone whose junk can turn against them at a moment's notice. I had level 4 endometriosis and had to have a hysterectomy at 35 years old. Luckily, I had 2 children already and counted myself blessed. It was extremely painful. I was relieved to never have to go through another period again. My wife has PCOS and it made getting pregnant extremely challenging. The amount of stress it causes between the doubt and the fertility treatments and seeing her friends announce pregnancies on Facebook was off the charts. Endometriosis hands down. Most jobs aren't understanding. Working from home was a blessing for me during COVID as I'm usually tied to the toilet for around 2 days straight out of the month. Lol, it's so funny, before August this year, I didn't know what endo was. My girlfriend was diagnosed with it and I see endo-related content almost every day, like wow. I hate that endo. What gives me hope is the researchers working overtime to cure it. When I have funds, I'll definitely fund research. Periods. For 40 years. And then we get to experience the torture that is perimenopause. Going through this now. It's so irritating. When doctors brush you off as having anxiety. Either that or it's your period. I've witnessed this firsthand for my wife, among many mind-blowing garbage. My mom's doctor brushed off her symptoms for 9 months with "it's just anxiety" before I forced her to go to a specialist. She died of bowel cancer 11 months later. Had the first doctor taken her seriously, she would have had a chance to survive. She was 55. For me, it's the combination of all the little things that build up. They're all connected. But if I had to pick only one, it's the final boss of nobody ever believing you about anything. I am always questioned on everything, even things that I am literally an expert in, by people who have absolutely no credentials. And I'm questioned on the reality of the other things I mentioned before. Could my chronic pain actually be that bad? Am I sure that my ex was taking advantage of me? Everyone wants to play devil's advocate when the devil is doing a fine job advocating for himself. This is it for me. The Cassandra effect of it all is absolutely exhausting. This is what I came to say. Nobody believes a word you say unless a man repeats it. It sucks. My wife was in the beer industry for a few years. There were several times where, at an event she's literally behind a table bar at wearing a brewery shirt, I would be asked questions about beers. Me, being the so just hanging out with her on the customer side, not wearing any brewery garb. Like bro, why the F are you asking me and not the literal employee pouring beers? Man repeats your point, suddenly it makes sense. Man repeats your joke, suddenly it's funny. Realizing how often you don't register as a real person. I literally left higher ed administration for this reason. I would put out thoughtful, well-researched ideas and crickets, and in the same meeting a man would repeat it and get an award.
Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.